Yeah, it's been 4 days on this book buying ban. I'm feeling really good. No, I don't think I'll have any problems with it. I think I've got this. I think I can go a few months without buying a book. Hey, maybe forever. Maybe I'll just start going to the library. I'm just kidding. Yeah, are you sure you don't want to go get lunch though? All right. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye. Must have changed his mind about lunch. All right. I'm thinking Chick-fil-A.
Hello, Ian.
Who is this? How did you get this number?
That's not important.
Why do you sound like that?
That's not important either. What is important is this. We have your dog.
I have a dog?
Your cat.
Cece!
Yes, we have Cece, and if you ever want to see her again, you need to do exactly as I say.
Okay, just tell me what to do. I'll do anything.
That's what I thought. So, I need you to go to the bookstore.
The bookstore?
Yes, go to the bookstore and buy a ton of books.
Buy books, but my book buying ban.
You're saying your book buying ban means more to you than your precious Cece?
No, I guess not.
That's what I thought. Better hurry.
Okay, I'm coming. Cece, I'm coming.
Honey, I'm going to Barnes & Noble.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Ian, I'm Ian the Reader, and today I have a book haul. Not just any book haul, hopefully, dear God, the book haul to end all book hauls. Man, I've really gotten myself into a situation here. So, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, you may remember that back in January, I swore that I was going on a book buying ban for February, March, and I hoped into April. That didn't happen, to say the least. Part of it's my fault. I mean, it's all my fault. But I also did receive a lot of book mail, so I don't know what to say, man. It happens. You know, as book readers, book enthusiasts, if you will, maybe book addicts, it's inevitable. And so I have a lot of books to show you guys today. Like, a lot. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of books over here. I don't know how many books. It's probably at least 40. So yeah. In just a moment, I'll go ahead and jump into the actual books, but before I do that, it would mean the world to me and my beautiful stacks of books here if you would like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I would love it if you stuck around. So, I'm not really gonna tell you a lot about these books, to be honest, because if I did, 1, it would take me forever to edit it, but 2, it would just be a very, very long video, and I know you don't want to watch that, I don't want to watch that, so I'm just going to very briefly note whatever feels noteworthy about these books, and then we'll go from there. I also have these books divided up into different categories just to give myself a little bit of grace, I guess, because I want to tell you what was book mail, what books I got for really cheap, like $1 or $2, and then, you know, the pile of shame, the books that I paid full price for, or whatever, you know, they were listed for. Yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So first, let's go ahead and talk book mail. I received quite a few books from a few different publishers over the past few months, and I am super grateful. I'm going to quickly go through these and try to divide it by which publisher sent them to me. So for starters, let's go ahead and talk about Orbit Books. They were so kind as to send me some amazing books over the past few months. Firstly, The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I've already talked about this book on my channel. I really enjoyed this book. Not quite as much as The Shadow of the Gods, but I still did really love it, and I'm super excited for book 3. Oh man, I was super excited to receive this in the mail though. Look how big this is, and I just love that cover. So thank you so much, Orbit, for The Hunger of the Gods. Orbit also sent me The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, which I have a review for up on my channel, so I'll go ahead and link that down below if you would like to hear all my thoughts on it. I enjoyed it though. Next, we have another book from Orbit that I just received in the mail pretty recently, and that is The Ballad of Perilous Graves by Alex Jennings. I have heard some really interesting things about this. Apparently it's set in like New Orleans, but there's like a different version of New Orleans. There's like 2 versions or something like that. It's fantasy, but it's like urban fantasy, and I'm super intrigued by it. I really like the piano, and just like the cover in general is pretty cool. I like the colors, so very excited to read this one. Next, from DAW Books, I did receive Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Rocchio. I requested this a number of months ago when I had planned on reading Empire of Silence and then Howling Dark and the following books, you know, subsequently. That didn't happen. I really regret that it hasn't happened because I'm super excited. Empire of Silence was one of my favorite books of last year, but I just have not been ready for a thick, gigantic space opera yet. And they were so kind as to send me this book. I really need to catch up so that I can read it. I will definitely, absolutely catch up on this series before book 5 comes out in December. That is my goal. I totally forgot to mention, this is book 4 in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, an ongoing space opera series, which has been getting quite a bit of love here on BookTube as of late. These books are a lot of fun, or at least the first book was, and I'm super pumped to get into the rest of the series. Next, from Soft Skull Press, I did receive this book called Death by Landscape by Elvia Wilk. This is a collection of essays on fiction writing and the world and how our fiction impacts the world and things like that. I am very excited to get into this, possibly in June. If not, then hopefully this summer for sure. Then from Knopf, I think that's how you say that publisher, I received Hurricane Girl by Marcy Dermansky. This is about a woman really trying to find herself after a relationship, and it's just a story about life and love and finding yourself, apparently. I love this cover, and I'm very excited to get into this book. From Simon & Schuster, I received Kia Das's Second Act by Sopan Deb. I don't really know a whole lot about this book. I've been seeing some really great reviews for it, though, so I'm super excited to read it. It says, a poignant, heartwarming, and funny debut novel about how one Bengali American family faced with tragedy takes to the stage. So that sounds pretty good. I love family drama books, and like I said, I've been seeing some pretty good reviews, so I'm hopeful to get to this soon. And then from Catapult, I did receive 2 books as well. First is Scary Monsters, which is a very interesting type of novel because it's like 2 stories in one, and if you read it this way, you can read one story, and then if you flip it upside down, you can read another story. So that's kind of interesting, and I'm curious to read this and see how those 2 stories are connected. So very excited about receiving this one from them. And then I did also get this book called The Apartment on Calirugay. I'm sorry. So that's it for book mail. Thank you so much to all those publishers for sending me those books. I'm super excited to read them and review them at some point in the future, either here or on my Instagram. While we're on the topic of books that I did not pay for, though, let's go ahead and talk about some books that my dad bought for me. He is super supportive of me and my channel, and he purchased some books for me over the past few months. So let's first talk about this one. This is The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. I actually really want to read this book, and he has a copy of it as well. He found some multiple copies of it on clearance at Half Price Books, so he picked up a couple, and hopefully we'll buddy read this over the summer. He also picked up a copy of My Antonia by Willa Cather for me. This is a classic that I've been really wanting to get to, and he knew that I wanted to read it, so he saw it on clearance and picked it up for me. In addition to that, he also purchased for me Dear Mr. M, which is a literary thriller that I've heard a lot of good things about, and I've been really wanting to try this author's works before. I believe they also wrote The Dinner, or I think it's called The Dinner, either The Dinner or The Diner, but I've heard really good things about that book as well, so I'm very excited to try this one. And then he also got me Daughter of the Forest, which is a fantasy book that I've been seeing a lot of good reviews for. I think Peruse Projects just reviewed it recently and really loved it, and I've been wanting to give it a try, so he got that for me as well when he went to a bookstore that I hadn't been to. To transition into my next category of books, we do have We Are the Brennans, which my dad did find on clearance at Half Price Books and picked up for me. This is the Book of the Month edition. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. It is a pretty short family story, but I've heard that it's like a multi-generational kind of thing, and I really enjoy those types of stories, and I like that it's short because a lot of times these kinds of books are very long and epic, but you know, sometimes you just want a brief little story, so that's nice. Well, like I said, that's gonna go ahead and transition us into the next category, which is Book of the Month. So I have gotten 4 books from Book of the Month over the past few months, but I did already unhaul one of those. So the first book I wanted to show you is True Biz by Sarah Novick. I believe that I mentioned this in some video at some point. I think I put it on the TBR and totally didn't read it, but this is a book that is very much steeped in deaf culture, and it involves like a school for the deaf and a lot of different perspectives in that environment, and I've just heard a lot of really good things about it, and I definitely want to get to this one very soon. In addition to that, I also got The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd, which you will be seeing a review for at some point because this is my family's book club pick for Q2. So I definitely need to read this probably maybe this week. I don't know. I'm going to start it soon. That's all I know. So yeah, this has been getting quite a bit of buzz as well. It's a mystery book surrounding maps. It just involves maps and like not a treasure hunt exactly, but there's a map that a lot of people are after, I guess. And there's a lot of secrets involved with it, and things escalate. So I'm very excited about reading this one as well. And then I did finally order Rules of Civility by Immortals, who is one of my absolute favorite authors. He wrote The Lincoln Highway and A Gentleman in Moscow, and now I have all 3 of his novels in the Book of the Month format. So very excited to read this one. I honestly cannot believe I haven't read it yet because, like I said, he's one of my favorites. The 2 books I have read by him were both 5-star reads and made my top 10 the years that I read them. So very excited about reading this at some point. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump into the next stack of books, which is my bargain books, which is easily the biggest stack, which I'm very proud of. I am like a book hunter in that I am always on the prowl for like a good deal when it comes to a book. I'm not really like a special editions kind of guy because, to be honest, I don't like spending a ton of money on specific books. I really just like it when I find a book that I'm interested in for really cheap. I'm all about that. So these are books that I either got on clearance at my bookstore, or I got at garage sales, or I got at, I don't know, different random places. I just picked these up. I think I even got some at the dollar store, but these are all books that I found for $1 to $3 typically. So first we have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I actually bought another copy of this and featured it in my last book haul, but this is an old mass market paperback that I really loved. I just need to get this little sticker off, but I'm a sucker for mass market paperbacks, and I thought that this was really beautiful, and so it was only $2 and I had to pick it up. I should probably read this book since I own 2 copies of it now as well. Then I picked up My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I hope that that's how you say it, but this is supposed to be one of the greatest novels of all time. I really don't know very much of what this is about, but I saw it at my local thrift store for $1, and so I was like, I mean, come on, you gotta get it. These next books are ones that I purchased at my library or at a library book sale in my community. I'm gonna knock these library book sale books out real quick though, so let's get through it. First up, we have this book called The Good Wolf Manuscript by Robert B. Parker. This is the first in a very long mystery series, and yeah, I was excited to find it. Then we have The Thornbirds, which this had a dust jacket when I got it, but my son, I mean, it was kind of falling apart anyway, but then my son just destroyed it, so that's cool. And this is by Colleen McCullough. I've heard really good things about this historical fiction book. Then I found a hardback copy of Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, and I've never seen it in a hardback, and I had to pick it up at that library sale. I also found a hard copy of Dune by Frank Herbert. I already had a paperback copy, but when you're at a book sale and books are really cheap and you find a popular book for hardback, or like in the hardback edition, you get it. That's just like a rule. Then I got Fractured by Karen Slaughter. This is the second book in the Will Trent series, and the next one that I need to read by her. We'll hopefully get to this soon because I really am enjoying her books. I also found The Charm School by Nelson DeMille, something like that. This is a thick book, man. I did not know it was this thick before I saw a physical copy of it, but this is like a spy thriller type of book that's gotten quite a few positive reviews. I mean, it's been out a long time, but I've seen positive reviews for it on Goodreads. I also found Night Flyers by George R.R. Martin. This is the illustrated edition. I have never read anything by him but Game of Thrones, so I'm super excited to try this, and it's also super short. Next is a book I was absolutely shocked to find at a library sale for only $1, and that is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This is a very, very buzzy and popular thriller that I've seen all over the place over the past year. I'm super pumped to get to this one. I just cannot believe I found it in like perfect condition for $1. That just blows my mind. I also found Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. I read his books a lot when I was a kid. I loved the Alex Rider series, but I have not read his mystery books that he's been publishing over the last five or so years, but I've been really wanting to, and so I was super excited to find this in hardback. Then I found Here, Then, and Now. Is that the order? Here and Now, and Then. That's how you say that, by Mike Chen. He's been publishing quite a few science fiction books over the past few years, and I've been wanting to try his stuff, and so when I found this, I was like, hey, why not? And the last book that I found and purchased in my library is The Dry by Jane Harper. This is quite the buzzy mystery thriller book that I have seen floating around. I believe it's like a detective or like police procedural book, but it actually did get a movie adaptation a couple years ago, which received a lot of great reviews, and I've been wanting to try this author and the series for quite some time. Another book that I found on clearance at my bookstore is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I featured this already in one of my weekly updates, but this is my last go with Cassandra Clare. I've read a number of her books, and if I don't like this, then I'm done. And lastly, these are books that I found at my dollar store for only $1. Isn't that great? Those books are How Not to Die Alone by Richard Roper, Her Daughter's Mother by Daniela Petrova, and The Gimmicks by Chris McCormick. I don't know a ton about any of these books, but they were $1. And lastly, that brings us to my pile of true shame, the books that I either paid full price for, like on Amazon, or that I got from independent bookstores in my area, or that I found at half price books and paid full price for there. So yeah, this is the pile of shame. Here we go. So it's only right to begin this section with the books that broke my book buying ban, those being Ruin and Valor by John Gwynne, these being the second and third books in the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne that I have not started yet, but I will because I love John Gwynne. Yeah, I found these at my local used bookstore for like $8 each, and despite the fact that it was very, very early in my book buying ban, I had to get them. And things went from there. So there you have it. Next, we have some books that I'm planning on featuring in a video in the near future, those being No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, The Deep Blue Goodbye by John D. MacDonald, Meet Me at the Museum by Anne Youngson, and The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. I know almost nothing about these books, but that is important. I will share why in a future video. Plan on seeing a reading vlog for those books in July. I went a little bit classics crazy for a month there as well and picked up a handful of classics, those being Ulysses by James Joyce, which is supposed to be like one of the most challenging books to read ever, and so of course I picked it up and will probably never read it. But I really like this edition. It was pretty cheap, not like crazy cheap, but pretty cheap, and I'm super excited to have this on my shelves. I also got Dombey and Sons by Charles Dickens. I've seen some glowing reviews for this on Instagram from some of my friends who are really into Charles Dickens, and I really am wanting to read more Charles Dickens, so I picked this up as well. I also picked up The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I was planning on joining a reading along for it in like February, and so I bought it pretty early on again in my book buying ban, but I didn't read it. I didn't join the read along, so shame on me. And then the last classic that I picked up is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I'm planning on, most likely, buddy reading this with my aunt this summer. I need to, otherwise why did I buy this book? Then I picked up Furnishing Eternity by David Giffels. I hope that that's how you say his name, or maybe it's Giffels. That's the eternal argument of GIF. Is it GIF or is it GIF? You tell me. But this is a nonfiction book that sounded really interesting to me. I saw it at my bookstore on like a little feature shelf, and I've been wanting to read more nonfiction, and so I picked it up. And lastly, we made it to the end, a book that I picked up because I really wanted it and my library didn't have it and there's no audiobook for it, so I ordered it on Amazon, and that book is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tsuhimura. I hope that that's how, I probably did it wrong, but that's nothing new. But this is a portal fantasy that I've heard really, really good things about. I thought the cover was really intriguing as well. It's just a very well-designed book, and I am very excited to try this in the future. But that's it, folks. That is the book haul. Thank you so much for bearing with me and all of my shenanigans when it comes to book buying bans and then breaking book buying bans. I really appreciate it. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Like this video if you did, and leave me a comment down below if you recommend me reading any of these books, and if so, which ones soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!